Joining us now from London is the host of the Spectator Australia's Fire at Will podcast, Will Kingston. Will, great to see you again. As an Aussie, I have to get your thoughts on this. UFC boss Dana White has unleashed on the Australian media, and it comes a day after the Sydney Morning Herald editor Bevan wrote a piece calling Dana White an enabler of hate. He labelled one of the most popular sports in the world gross, and he claimed that people in New South Wales just wouldn't support the state government's partnership with the UFC, even though it puts Sydney on the world stage and brings in millions of dollars through tourism. Well, Dana White has hit out at Sydney Morning Herald journalist Bevan, and he didn't hold back on his thoughts on Australia's media. Take a listen.
Listen, for a place that is so tough and the people, everything on land and the water can kill you. You have the biggest I've ever seen in the media in my life. I saw a story where a guy was like, I saw Dana do a podcast with the premier and it physically made me sick. Holy you guys have to have the biggest of all time in the media here. I thought we had weak media. You guys win hands down.
Will, unfortunately for us, I think Dana's right. What do you think?
Well, Dana, please don't lump Sky News in with the Sydney Morning Herald. I think they are very, very different beasts. But the interesting thing there, and I think this doesn't just apply to the media, it applies to the perceptions that Americans and the rest of the world have of Australia, in that they come to this country now and they still expect to have that old view of Australia, rugged individualists, anti-authoritarian, irreverence, think Paul Hogan type of thing.
Mm.
And you get to Australia today, and so often what you are presented with is the exact opposite of that now. Woke ideology has very much infiltrated our media along with all of our other institutions. I think we are now slower to get that pushback against wokeism compared to what we're seeing in the US. And I think you get people like Dana White who actually are genuinely surprised at what they see in Australia. And I think this is a wake-up call. We need to actually say, how do we actually get back to that old view of Australia, which we can all in our minds think about, and push against what I think we all agree, particularly since COVID, is a very, very different and I think quite a troubling national identity that unfortunately we have reformulated for ourselves?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Australia was on the world stage for all the wrong reasons during COVID. I think people right around the world were looking at places like Sydney and Melbourne and looking at the way we had these unbelievable long lockdowns and essentially no freedom of speech and a media that was very one-sided and was censoring all sorts of things.